In this video, I want to talk a little bit as to why I think you should actually start recording yourself when you go fishing. And I know that you're watching this via YouTube, so you might think I'm going to talk about posting videos on YouTube, and I'm not going to talk about that. Well, I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but there's actually a couple things that I've learned by recording myself over pretty much the last 3 years plus, is that there's some things that I've learned that have really helped me to become a better angler. There's things that I've learned about myself. There's things that I have learned about the fish that would have not been possible if I wasn't recording myself. And in this video, I'm going to talk about that. Now, before we get into the video, this one's brought to you by my apparel company, Fin Fishing. Guys, I'm running a sale right now for the month of March. If you buy one of my USA-made sun shirts, you can get a free Fin Fishing rod glove. So pretty good deal. I have a number of different rod gloves in a number of different sizes. These are just a couple of colors. I have them for spinning rods and bait casters. So all you got to do is add the sun shirt you like to cart, add the rod glove that you like to cart, and it will automatically discount at checkout. It is the best way to help support this channel. All right, let's talk about recording yourself out there on the water and what it will help you to see. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is, guys, I understand GoPros are expensive. GoPros are truly the best way to record ourselves when we are fishing, whether you're wearing it on your chest or have something mounted at the dash. But I know that they're expensive. And so I know that there's a lot of guys that aren't going to be able to do this. Now, with that being said, I buy all my GoPros as well. And something that I still do to this day is I buy used GoPros. I always look at places like Facebook Marketplace for GoPros, because GoPro comes out with a new video camera every single year, and people sell off their older versions that are 1 year old that have been used once or twice all the time. So you can save hundreds of dollars by buying a used GoPro. So that's just one little tip for you. Now let's actually talk about recording yourself. There's a couple of, like I said, really big things that I've just learned about recording myself. One is I have seen how many times I just make mistakes. There are times where I hook into a fish and I realize, or maybe I lose that fish, and I just realize man, I boogered up the hook set. I dropped a lot of slack in the line to that fish, and when I really popped that fish. Maybe that's what caused me to break the line. Maybe that's what caused me to lose the fish. So as an angler, I think recording yourself can really help you to kind of critique yourself and realize the things that you are doing wrong or the things that you are doing right. Another thing that I have seen when it comes to recording is actually putting patterns together. And I know that this sounds weird, but sometimes when you're out there fishing, even today, where all I'm thinking about is fishing a lot of times, there are times where I will catch a couple of fish throughout the day and I don't really put the clues together. But later on, when I'm kind of editing the video, I realize, man, those two fish are kind of doing the exact same thing. And maybe that's actually a pattern that I could have run. For example, I just fished down in Cedar Creek Lake in Kentucky. And the very first fish that I caught that day, I caught on an isolated grass patch with a jerkbait, right? And I fished a lot more grass with a jerkbait, but I really didn't take into consideration the isolated part of that whole equation. And later in the day, actually in the last 10 minutes of the day when I was fishing, I caught the biggest fish of the day on an isolated patch of grass with a jerkbait, literally doing almost the exact same thing. And then with another couple of minutes left in my day, I fired out to another small isolated patch and caught another one. And I didn't even realize the pattern when I was out there fishing. But when I was off the water and I was editing the video, I'm like, dude, that is what I should have done. Going in, if I were to fish that lake a second day, all I would have done is gone around looking for isolated patches of grass. Because I fished some really big grass areas and tried to find some little unique things in them. But it seemed like you would get bit a lot better in those isolated patches. And so that's something that recording myself showed me. Once I was rewatching the video, I'm like, dude, those fish are doing the exact same thing. Why didn't I think about that? So that's something, like I said, you just don't always take into consideration. Another thing that I have seen when it comes to fishing is actually fish themselves and the way that they hit lures. I can remember a couple of years ago, I was fishing a topwater bait, and I had a ton of fish that were like hitting this topwater bait and not getting hooked up. And later in that day, I was looking at my GoPro and I actually zoomed in and I slowed down the footage, and I could see that these fish were actually like never even opening their mouth to hit the bait. They would just like slap at the bait. And so what it really helped me to realize is that in that moment, I was throwing the wrong color. And what was really weird about this was that this was a color of a bait that I've caught a lot of fish on in the past on this particular lake. But we had a lot of cloudy conditions that day, and I felt like what the fish actually wanted was something that was more visible to them, if that makes sense. So guess what? The very next day I went fishing. After I had looked at that footage, I put on the exact same bait, a different color. It was like a chartreuse color. I started hooking up with a lot more fish. Not all the fish, but a lot more fish. And it was just a simple color change. Again, sometimes you piece that stuff together out there on the water, but sometimes looking back at your footage like I did and seeing those fish hit that with a closed mouth, or not even hitting it at all, just kind of like flicking it with their tail, really helped me to realize that something was wrong about my bait. And there's a number of things that you will see out there on the water. Like I said, things that you make a mistake of and things that you do right. And so that's why I really think you should record yourself. Now, the other really big reason why you can record yourself or should record yourself is, guys, you never know what's going to happen out there on the water. And everyone that I talk to, I tell them this. You never know what's going to happen out there on the water. You know, you might have a big bass hit your lure, like the biggest bass of your life. And to have that on video is just really special, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Whether you want to just keep it for yourself or whether you want to blast it out there. I mean, you just never know when you're going to have that monster fish or just something really unique happen. I mean, we've all seen the fights with people on the bank, you know, telling them to stop fishing their dock or whatever. You never know when you're going to record that moment. And so that's why I always say, hey, keep a video camera with you, a GoPro with you, and just have it recording. So guys, there are some really big benefits. I totally understand if you just can't afford it, but I thought I would let you guys know that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click on this video right here. It's my most recent video. Also, if you want to pick up a sun shirt and a rod glove, you can click this link right here. I will see you guys tomorrow.
You're kidding. Let's freaking go.